Thanks for coming. This is the Power BI and PPM webinar. We will be just get straight to the point for the agenda. So we will be discussing the Power BI introduction of the Power BI desktop and Power BI services. We will bring the PPM data from Project Online into the Power BI. Look at how Microsoft built this out, and we'll be able to show you some of the capabilities of what you can do out of the box. Then we will also kind of talk a little bit about the dashboard in a day workshop as a product, and then we can go through the Q&A at the end. So please sit back, relax, enjoy the Power BI, and let me get started here. The quick evolution. I mean, if in case you have probably you have seen some of these some of the slides. I apologize, but this is something like a quick intro that I'll do for the Power BI as a whole for some of those who are not familiar with the concept of services. So I'm just gonna give a quick overview of the solution. The whole concept of business intelligence is basically been introduced initially as a first wave to the corporations and enterprise. So this is where we need to run the reports and see what's going on with the project or with the business operations and such and such. So the next wave of which was the more obviously Excel enhanced type of services where we can build some pivot tables or do some quick analysis without getting into the development of the reports. And then the third wave is where the Power BI is basically succeeding at, is the end user business intelligence. So you don't need to have a special tools to do the analysis. Now you can bring that power of data, the power of good information in the hands of users, so they can do the analysis and all the things below here within their own tool set. So there are a few things that may not be straightforward, evident to all of you guys over there as far as what the users are typically looking for, and sometimes some of our customers, they don't really understand how to break down the needs. And the needs are broken down like this as far as the business intelligence is the access. This is very straightforward. I need to be able to access my information anytime, the easiest possible way, right? So this is the ease of access of this information. This is very, very strategic in a sense, because when you're talking to professionals, they probably have some special tools how to access the information. But as far as a large population of users, the ease of access is a very, very much important aspect. So the data needs to be clean. So whatever we accessed, it needs to be clean. It needs to be presenting the realistic information, and that's a lot of times in this PPM space specifically. Where PPM is not necessarily exact science as opposed to, let's say, financials, right? The financials, the hard dollars are very, very in the face. But as far as PPM, this is like not exact science, so we need to make sure that the data is clean. So the mashup, we need to be able to mash up this data from different data sources, from PPM data source, and maybe some of this from the financial data source, and maybe some of this from the agile data source. So we need to be able to mash up data in a nice way. Then we need to be able to drill down and explore. So if we have one dashboard, we need to be able to drill down and see the details. Visualize. So this is something that also makes a very important point in the list of needs, is the visualization. We need to be able to present the information in a way so it actually delivers the message, especially when we're presenting this for some of the senior folks in the management chain, or some of the forums that are limited time boxed, and the message needs to be very, very carefully drafted. And then we should be able to take care of the security and sharing of this information. So it has double-edged swords, right? We need to be able to share information as much as we can, and yet we need to preserve the governance of that data, making sure that the data is not leaking through, to the forums that where the data is not supposed to be. And again, I'm going to run through some of the slides very quickly, and we will actually get to the actual demo. So here in this one, I would like to bring up to your attention that there's different versions of Power BI, and even though you're probably almost convinced that this is a cloud solution only, but yet there is actually a on-premises solution as well. So the Power BI can be deployed either cloud-based, as a cloud-based solution hosted by Microsoft, or on premises, on your own infrastructure deployed, and you can own that from start to end within your infrastructure. So then the actual insights that you see in the middle are different, flavors, different attributes of the Power BI, which represents the services, and the services would include all kinds of starting quickly, getting to different data sources, connected quickly, live dashboards, interactive reports, different options to get data, like through you can type the question and it may dig through the data sets and bring this information up on a widget, which you can save it as a dashboard. There's different cool features. There's a lot of different information out there on the web about this, but we are focusing on the PPM. And one thing I wanted to bring here is that besides the fact that there's this reports are available on the computer, like your PC station or whatever, mobile devices, or even HoloLens. There's a lot of emphasis on that. But as far as mobile, I'd like to stress the fact that there's a mobile application for Android and Apple, an iPhone, or in the Apple Store. So you can technically set this app. It's free, and then connect to your Power BI using your Office 365 account, and look at those dashboards through your phone or iPad or any Android device. And obviously here is the different people and apps and automation that could be attached to this platform. And one of these apps would be this Microsoft Project Online content pack for Power BI, which we will learn how to properly connect to in between, right, Project Online and Power BI content pack. So we'll get through this in a second through the demo. Next, what I would like to display the variety of different services that you can connect as a data source to Power BI and to your either on-premises or on the cloud version of this. All kinds of SaaS solutions that are very much already established and available through the apps, through different connectors, like for example, the one we have for the Project Online. There is different connectors to connect to the MailChimp or Dynamics or Jira or all kinds of additional services, and the number of these connectors is growing. So you can connect all this and then use these data sets within Power BI, then connecting that with some other services, and then produce some of the visualizations to get those either insights or reports or dashboards. All right, organizational corporate data, data on premises, connections to all kinds of SQL servers, again, services, and primarily when you see this on the upper right corner here, which says Get Data, and this is the screen, the typical screen that you will see when you click on that Get Data somewhere in Power BI, either on the web or on a desktop. It will bring up this these options so we can pull it from the My Organization services, files, and data or databases. So these are the different services you can use to bring the data in. Azure, or Excel files, or using the Power BI desktop. And again, it sounds kind of maybe too much for some, but I'll be able to show you the exact data sources that we can bring in. All right. There are 4 things that we're going to be talking quickly before the actual demo. Is prepare, explore, visualize, and share. So when we're looking at the prepare the data, the clean and mash up your data. So when we manage to actually bring the information in, we need to be able to work with these different data sets, and these data sets are basically have a different connection with each other. So we need to understand what's the relationship between projects, what's the relationship between activities and projects and resources, assignments. We also want to bring the time-phased information in, and then we can also add additional parameters and measures that will allow us to add additional calculations. In the back days where we had SQL Server analysis services, for those of you who are familiar with that, we had all kinds of additional measures within those cubes. So basically the concept of cubes and measures, this is basically being moved over to the Power BI and made it available for a regular person like myself, or someone who would learn Power BI and go through some kind of training, and then you don't need to basically have to know the SQL coding or the some kind of programming language in order to be able to build those reports. Okay, so now we prepared the data. Now we need to be able to explore the data. We need to be able to understand what are those embedded pieces of information within which. I mean, I don't want to break down the whole data model of Project Online. There's a different documentation online about this, but we need to be able to understand how do we get to those details, and how do we aggregate this to let's say from the activities for a project rolling up to the project, and then maybe for different projects rolling up to their portfolio or program. So these are the exploratory activities. Then we need to come up with how do we want to visualize this, right? We can come up with the histograms, pie charts, donut charts, all kinds of tabular views. So this is where we would like to use some of the either custom visuals or use the already established stack of the default visuals of the Power BI. And then the share and collaborate. So this is where we need to plan ahead and see how do we want to share this information, how do we want to share our dashboards, how do we want to share our reports, how do we want to look on the web, how do we want it to look on the mobile phone. So there's all kinds of different ways you can share and collaborate the information from those reports and dashboards to to the people you'd like to share it with. All right, and this is proud Microsoft message to everyone out there looking for the Power BI or business intelligence solution. That is in February 2018, Gartner presented Microsoft as an ultimate leader in the space of the business intelligence and analytics. So this is the result of hard work of Microsoft, Power BI developers and teams and marketing and partners like us who are certified Power BI partner to bring the wisdom of and to bring the technology to the level where it provides and presents a lot of value for our customers. So a little bit of a show off for Microsoft. But here's down. This is where we're coming down to the actual demo. And if you would like to repeat this I'm sure we are recording this. Yes, we are recording this, right? Good. So if you would want to reproduce these steps on your own, you'll be able to kind of go through the recordings and kind of see the steps. Just hit the pause button and see where the buttons are and things like that. But before you do that, make sure that your laptop is not a very old one. I mean, in terms of the power. So these are the minimum requirements for the actual laptop. So you can obviously build things online, but we would go through the desktop, a Power BI desktop. In order to build the reports in Power BI desktop, you would want to make sure that your laptop is 4 gigs of RAM, 2-core processor, things like that. There's also a link that you'll be conveniently be able to click, and then it will get you to the page where you can subscribe for the Power BI service for free. There is a free subscription. If you'd like to play with it, there's no charge from Microsoft and that. You can just play with it, build your dashboards, and kind of learn from that. When it comes to the sharing and additional features, obviously this is where the Microsoft would want you to buy a bump up the subscription level. But anyway, so this is some of the useful information here on this slide you'll be able to leverage. And then here's basically how we're going to get to the PPM and Project Online data. So this is I'm done. 20 minutes past the hour. No more slides. Well, almost, but most of it is going to be a lot of clicks and showing my screen how to connect this. But basically, there are two options how you can get this Project Online content pack, and there's two options, right? The option number one is online. You go to powerbi.com, and then you go to Get Data Services and search, and then you can just type up and look up the app that would just connect you to that. I'll show you the steps. Also, you can download the Power BI template which is exactly the same result. These two steps will get you exactly the same result. Well, as long as they're published the same. But this is essentially the two ways to get to the same result. Is to download it from the GitHub directly. So when you go to the GitHub directly, and let me actually click on that here. Let me just click on that here and wonder if this is going to get me. Okay, this is perfect. So now it's getting me to Power BI website, and this is where I can sign in. And I'm assuming this is post post that step when you had to sign up. When you sign in, you'll kind of see some of this, something like this. And then I'm going to click on this Get Data, right? So if I go back to my slides, this is Get to Project Online, Get Data, Services, and Search, right? If I go here, click on Get Data, right? Remember the slide here, we had these 4 items to pick from. So we're going to click on Services, right? Click on Get from Services, and within here, we can look and go through different options of all these different apps. And in my particular situation, it's kind of showing up right here. Maybe this is because I am a frequent user of this content pack. But if you can't find it here on this first page, if you just type, let's say, Project Online, right, it will filter it down to this exact one. So if you click on this one, it will prompt you to get this now. If you click on that, it will kind of get you through the process of putting your URL or your PWA of your project online, and then you can take it from there. So that's option one. Option two is if we want to download it from the GitHub, and this is kind of interesting. The reason I want to show you this is that for those who are familiar with the GitHub, a concept of open source, there's all kinds of there's a license here, right? You can look at the descriptions. You can get some kind of more information about the code and FAQs and things like that. So you can technically go to this Power BI PBIT file, right, which is the actual template, Power BI template, and then you can download it. If I download it, I can download. You see, I already downloaded it. I was prepping for this, and I had it already downloaded. But I'm gonna just click on download, and it's gonna download this file here, which is the actual template. So I can either use the option number 1 to get this directly into my Power BI account, right? And I can just connect it through here, or I can download it as a file and open Power BI desktop and open it there. So I am taking the liberty of choosing option number 2, because this is, kind of GitHub. Download the code is kind of, the way I'd like to go. And let me do that. So now I am going to basically, if I don't have Power BI desktop on my laptop yet, right? I can go and click on this, Power BI desktop download, and just get this download application on my laptop. This is free completely. You don't need to have a license for this. You can download Power BI desktop and connect your Power BI desktop to your Project Online environment. No license for that is needed. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to simply open the Power BI desktop application. So here's, I'm opening the Power BI desktop. From here, I would be able to load my template. And here I'm going to, so this is how Power BI launches, and now it prompts me to kind of open my recent reports and things like that. If I just close this, right, it's just blank report. There's nothing there. Page 1 is like you open the Word, right? You have like document 1. This is like a untitled page 1 blank report. So now I'd like to open my content pack that I have just downloaded. So I can go to File, Open, and then open my content pack. And here I'm going to switch to Power BI template files. And there you go. This is the other one that I just downloaded, right? 2:22 Eastern time. So that's the fresh one. So I'm going to open this one. So when I open this, it would prompt me to enter my PWA site URL, right? And this is where, remember the similar option, it was here. See, on the web, it's prompting me the same thing, right? But that's how you can see that these are two essentially the same things. And my particular URL, I already opened another tab on my browser to grab my URL, and typically you would have the URL at your domain .sharepoint.com/site/pwa. In 99% of the cases, if you have a PWA test or PWDev or like first log that we have, is just the name of the PWA site. So you need to grab that one. This is just the link. I'm going to copy that and then go back to my desktop, and I'm going to put this URL back here. So in your situation, you most likely would have it like this PWA, right? And in my situation, this is basically this is the URL of my PWA that we use for all kinds of demo purposes. For those of you who are internationally out there in different language zone, like German, Portuguese, you can this content pack is supporting other languages as well. So feel free to take advantage of that. We're going to stick to English here. So now I'm going to load, right? When I'm clicking on load, it already get authenticated with my account. In case it would not have authentication automatically, you may need to put your credentials. Just remember to put this organizational account, not the one that you need to put the account with which you sign up for Power BI. Basically, that would that would do that. And then in order to connect to the to project online, you would need to submit your project online credentials, right? So now this Power BI application is using authentication of my account to connect with that particular project online environment. So if I'm going back to here, it knows that I'm here signed in as Alexander, right? Alex Rodolph here. So this is the URL to my environment here, and there we are. There we are. We are now in this blank, used to be a blank Power BI. We're now connected to that environment. So there we go. We have just connected Project Online to Power BI, and I literally did very few clicks. I did a lot of, I pronounced a lot of words, but as far as clicks, I should admit, yes, I did know where to click, but as far as number of these actions, you don't really, need to spend much time on connecting the two. So when you do, have these two things connected, you would be able to do certain things, right? Number one, you can modify it. You can completely, change the layout. You can shrink things, remove things. You can add things. Well, be careful, right? If you, remove things and save this and won't keep the backup files, you may want to mess up the initial layout. But basically, from this point going forward, you can do whatever you want with this, and change the colors. I mean, let's say I just want to. I don't like this green colors, right? And I'm just holding Control, selecting these 4 boxes here with filters, and maybe changing it all to outline color. Maybe I'm changing it all to yellow, right? Where's this header? Font color or background color, just changing this to different, I can play with this, and the thing is that when I'm done playing with this, when I'm done kind of adding my own logo or changing this in a way that it looks more that is accustomed for my organization, I can now save this. So believe it or not, a lot of people getting too carried away and forget to save. So now I'm going to basically save this, and I can save this as not the template, right? I can save it as a template, but I'd like to save it as a Power BI file. And this is going to be webinar May, the Power BI with you, report, okay, by Alex. So I'm giving it a name. So now it's basically, right now it's saved on my laptop, right? I can basically at any time hit this refresh button, which would refresh the information from Project Online directly into my Power BI file here on my laptop. So at this point, nothing exists on the web. Everything is rendered and processed. All these reports are processed and rendered on my laptop, and I can save this. But what else I can do with this? The most of the things that you can do with this after this is when you actually push this to the Power BI services, and I'm going to show you that when you publish this there on the web, and this is where you would be able to leverage all the features of the web, where you can share it, or you can produce a PDF from it. You can produce all kinds of different things, and I'm going to show you that too. But before I get there, see, now it's refreshed. So before we get there, I'm just going to go through all of these items here. You can see different reports showing up. You can take a look at that, and it will kind of amaze you how detailed or how sophisticated these reports are. We also have our own content pack where we would add more features to the Power BI, to the Project Online information. So nonetheless, I'm going to just go back to this dashboard here and show you this other aspect. So you can see on the right side, if you're familiar with the pivot tables in Excel or data sets, these are the data sets, right? So these are the different types of information that we loaded into our data model for this Project Online. And it's been taken care of by this content pack already. You don't really need to load anything else. You load this content pack, you're ready to go, basically. And if we like to look at under the hood a little bit, we would go and click on this edit queries here. Let me actually go back for a second. On the ribbon here, there's edit queries, and there's a little drop down. You can edit queries, data source settings, edit parameters, and others. So I'm just going to click on edit queries. So I'm either on the first drop down here or on the actual button here, which will get us to this Power Query editor. So each of these data sets is brought over from Project Online using OData service, and each of these services, each of these data sets, if you see on the right side, you would see the applied steps. So these are the different steps that have been applied to the original state of the data set. So there are different data sets like projects, let's say the very common data set, which is basically a list of all the projects with its metadata. Right? And we can scroll to the right, you'll see there's all universe of this information that describes the project by the one way or another. So if you look at the steps on the right, there's a lot of steps that have been applied. So you can look at the steps one by one by clicking on this gears on the right side of it. But you can also look at the advanced editor, because, well, guess what? After this webinar, you're going to be advanced editors of your Power BI reports. So here on the advanced editors, these steps are basically coded. This is the representation of the steps in a code, right? This is how it looks really under the hood. So each of these steps has a special thing that it does. So some of this I'm filtering. Let's say I don't want to look at all the projects. I may want to look at certain projects that have dollar amount more than something, and you can kind of go through all these steps. I don't want you to look at this code. You will be able to reverse engineer this the way you want it. Let me just drill into one of these steps. So filtered rows, and I can click on this filtered rows. This filter is basically saying, oops, retry. This filter is basically saying that it does not equal 7. So there's a project type. So this is the certain project type filter. Removed other columns. So this is the step where we don't want to see. No, can't modify it. I don't want to modify the step. Replace project sites. I mean, there's a different steps, like this little formula that takes the piece of the URL, adds the name and stuff like that. So anyway, you can take a look, but the concept is this: all these data sets are the direct feed from project. These are two parameters at the bottom. Remember, we put this URL. This is where they keep, the Power BI keeps the parameter of the URL. So when you hit the refresh button, it knows where to pick the information from this particular URL. And obviously, we'll ask for that authentication. And then this is the other parameter with the language. Anyway, if I get out of here, and I can also show you one of my favorite tricks, and I'd like to show this to you on the project status report. So this is a sample of the project status report, where I can look at different information, such as in this case, I'm just going to say I want to look at all the projects at a time. And now it's going to just bring this information over. There we go. So this is like the status report for all projects, rolled up. But I do want to kind of show you this cool step that I'd like to show, and this is regarding the cumulative and running totals. So there's a very easy step, and trust me, this is very cool step to showcase, because there's easy way to get those running totals. If you've been dealing with the Excel and running totals in any other solution, this is not an easy way to fix. But here is, if I'd like to say, instead of all this cost, and I have actual cost and baseline cost, right? And if I'd like to see this not just per day, right? What's the cost per day? I like to see the totals, right? I like to see how does this accumulates over time, and what's the total at the end of the year or something like that. So what we can do here is we can do this quick steps, and this is just check this out. Look at that. So here's the actual cost, right? Say for example, this visual is using this assignment time phase data set, and here I can I'd like to work with the, let's say, assignment cost. Let me just get rid of the actual cost for now. Now let me just get rid of the cost. I'm going to keep get rid of the baseline cost and keep the cost. So how do I make this a running total and make it based on dates, right? From dates that are lined up here. So I need to do this. Assignment cost. I can create a quick measure from it. Let's say new quick measure. This would automatically put the assignment cost as the so let's select the function. So how do we want to aggregate this measure? So we need to put the function that is running total, and this running total would be the base value that we would aggregate would be the assignment cost, or in this case I can pick another item. In this case, I just have this assignment cost picked, right? So sum of assignment cost, I can just drag and drop another value here. But here, sum of the assignment cost, and I'd like this to be aggregated for every day, right? So every day you need to accumulate this cost and make this ascending from earlier date to later date. Okay, so that's basically two steps that I just did. I put this values here and say I'm okay. So now it's basically creating that additional field here. It goes assignment cost running total, right? And here, instead of assignment cost, I'm going to drag and drop this here, which is the values. I'm going to remove the cost from here. And now I need to put the right time here, which is the time and date. And I'm going to remove that time and date. Voila, there we go. So now we have built the cost over time, the cumulative values, running total, right, for the cost of the entire portfolio. And you can do this by project, right? You can, if you split this by project and say, I want to look at this for this one project. How is that going to look like for this one project? And you can do this here. This is just maybe not as good example, but basically you can filter, apply additional filters and see how this would work out for different projects. There you go, just for this one other project. There's a cumulative cost for the entire project. So, and you can also quickly add, let's say there was assignment cost, the same way we can add actual cost, right? The actual cost, new quick measure, we'd like to pick the function, a running total based on that time by day, assignment actual cost. So now all the actual costs will be accounted for this project and calculated as running totals. And we can quickly add that to the same chart. Now it's working on it. calculating everything. And basically, based on the data set initial information, it's calculating the running total. And this is why you need a powerful computer in order to have this work to be done quickly. All right, now it's done, so I can pull this right next to it, and now I have basically two charts that represent. In this case, I don't want to. This. So now I have this chart of spinning. So now I have this two dimensions, right? Two charts on one, right? One for the actuals and one for the forecast. And I can, the same way, I can plot the baselines and then have the baselines plotted the same way. Anyway, so you can work with this, building those accumulative values, and then use these reports. Let's say we have modified this the way we want it. Now it's time to publish it. So there's the publish button here. You can click on that, and this will, if you are not authenticated yet, it will ask you to first save the project, save the Power BI file, which we did, and then it's going to ask you to which workspace you'd like to publish it to. If you're using Power BI free, it will allow you to publish to your own workspace. If you're using Power BI Pro, then you have options to use other workspaces that you have access to. Anyway, I'm just going to keep it simple, publish it to my workspace, select it here. Now it's going to publish to my Power BI account, to which you would register in advance, right? So you would follow that link and register to that Power BI portal, and then here it's conveniently given me the link to my portal, so I can click on that. It gets me to powerbi.com, right, and gets me right to my dashboard. And see, this is the one that we just created. May the Power BI be with you, report packed by Alex, and everything exactly as I had there is now on the web. Isn't that cool? That's cool, right? So now it's on the web. Now I can, see all kinds of features and functions. I can, let me start from the right to the left. So here on the three-dot menu here, I can analyze in Excel. I can pull this information entirely into Excel and run my own Excel reports, or do some additional analysis on this. Generate a QR code. You can generate a QR code and then maybe have that in play. You can share this, right? So this is where you can share this report and say, I want to share it with Dan. There's Daniel Norkin, a lot of them here. Share it with Dan, and then I can allow him to share it further, and maybe send him a link in the report. Link in the email. So this is how I can share it with the other groups. I can also look at who I have shared already the report. So you can also subscribe to it and say, every time this report refreshes, I'd like to get a notification. So this is where you can have notifications to go out to some of those or subscribe to any given report and get those email notifications when something is refreshed. Then you can set it as favorite, view related reports, usage metrics, yada yada yada. You can also pin some of these visuals. Let's say I like the visual that we have for the accumulators. I can pin this visual. See, the pop-up shows up. The pin visual to my dashboards, and this particular widget will show up on my dashboard. But that's not really what I wanted to focus on here. What I do want to focus here is this. You can also edit report right from the web. So if I click on the edit report, it will get into the similar mode like in the actual Power BI desktop. This would have a little bit less features and function to update the report, but you can technically use the web to do a very small and minor edits to your report, or as a matter of fact, to create different copies of the same report. You can click on File and Save As, and then save it as a different report. Go back to the reading view. You can also have a different views here, where you can simply use this button and you see this report in full screen, right? If I would like to presenting a report on my webinar, and I don't want any other additional fluff or something to be disturbing my view, I can just do it at full screen, hit the escape button, and I'm back into the regular mode. And here's the couple interesting options here. So you can also publish this to the web, which means that if you click on that, if you read this information carefully, you would see that some of this information, if you do publish this, some of this information could be publicly available. So meaning that everyone who has access to this particular URL will be able to, if I click on create embedded code and say publish, right, this particular code is becoming publicly available. So it's up to your security setup in your organizations, whether they want to do it or not, to do that. But the most interesting part of this is this, where you can export to PowerPoint. So let's say you built a report, you'd like to present the status report to your leadership or to your stakeholders. You click on this create a PowerPoint. Now it's going to take some time to render this information and present this and convert this into a PowerPoint. But basically, you can set it up in a way that you come here, you look at the report, you push the button to generate a PowerPoint, and basically you may need to do fine-tuning of that PowerPoint within PowerPoint, and then have the full report ready to go. I guess I also want to show you a couple other things before we run out of time. Here on the left side, if I push this drop down here, I'll look at this dashboard, and this is where I would see the there's a list of dashboards, there's a list of reports, and the report that we have published called May the Power BI be with you, and I can just move this to see the full text here. Excuse me. And along with this actual report, if I keep scrolling down, I will see the section with datasets. And the section with datasets would also be called the same way as the actual report. And this is May the Power BI be with you report packed by Alex. If I click on this 3-dot menu, I can schedule the refresh of this report, which means that I just want to wait until the export to PowerPoint will finish. And then I'm going to show you the options that we have for, oh, there you go. So May the Power BI be with you by Alex. This is the PowerPoint. I'm going to save that. Now it's saved. Now I can open this so you can take a look at how it looks, and check how it looks. So when you open this, it will open the PowerPoint. Well, Microsoft has a lot of power tools. So the PowerPoint, now it's opening that, and there we go. So all of these reports that we had there now in the actual PowerPoint, right? So the way we had them there, and you see though some of these modifications that I did on the fly here, all of this information is in the PowerPoint, and it built, and basically all these slides are automatically created. I didn't create them. I just pushed the button to create the PowerPoint. That's all I did. Let me just get to this, and there's our accumulative values, right? So some of this, all these reports are ready to go, right? Going back to the data set, and this is my data set, schedule refresh. If I click on schedule refresh, this is where I have an option to select how am I connecting to my data set. And in this case, I'm just going to reconfirm my organizational authentication account. And now it's just going to say that, verify that this is me, and maybe ask me to re-authenticate. I'm just going to put my credentials again. Just going to double check that I'm not someone from outside, not authorized to use this report. And here on the schedule refresh, I can turn on the schedule refresh and say I want it daily be refreshed and hit the apply. So since from now on, this report is going to be refreshed automatically on a daily basis. So I don't need to open the desktop. I can always come to this dashboard, right, to this report, rather this report here, right, and I can grab the link, hold on to the link, and publish it into some other place, and then make sure I'll just have this report refreshed on an automatic basis every day. All right, so that's kind of all I wanted to show you, how you can quickly get the Power BI reports to work with Project Online. And if you haven't connected the two, please follow the steps that are outlined. It's fairly easy to connect. If you have any questions, feel free to ask or shoot an email or reach out to me or Dan. Dan, I think there's a couple other things that you would like to kind of run through, and I'm going to switch back to you, and I'm going to show some few last slides here. Daniel?
Yes, I'm here. Just so I think you wanted to show the slide about the dashboard in a day, I believe it was, right?
Right. So this is something that just go to the last slide. And this is something, after demo. This is where we would basically would like to bring to your attention that we are a Microsoft certified Power BI partner, and you can find us on the list of partners if you go to powerbi.com, or look at the global outreach of the Power BI solutions out there, reaching out to basically every single point in the on this map. What we would like to introduce is this dashboard in a day workshop, and we are started offering this to some of our customers. And if you're interested, this is something that basically the sample agenda of that one day would look like. We'll go through the introduction, and we'll have the desktop, Power BI desktop lab, and demos, and basically the second half of the day will be actually building, the dedicated to building the report. And this is a sample report that will be built from scratch. So every single participant of that workshop would be able to basically hands-on, be able to process the data sets, build the report, and publish the report, and basically get all kinds of ins and outs and features built like this. So please feel free to reach out to us, and we'll be happy to assist and conduct that one day build the dashboard in a day workshop. And one last thing from me, may the Power BI be with you. Thanks for coming.